Good morning. This is chapter 6. I need to talk to you about part 1 lecture series. There will be multiple lecture series of this, what we're about to talk to you. Let me talk to you about, to start out with, if you're following along with me, make sure you go to your lecture notes. And I have lecture notes. Underneath lecture notes, if you scroll down and find lecture notes in here, and in your eCampus Blackboard, what you're going to find in your lecture notes is besides the PowerPoint series, but I also uploaded the book source code for you to follow along. Please follow along with this. This chapter is very important for C++ and moving on, preparing you for 1437 for a Java as well, for Program Fundamentals 2. So you need to know this this content pretty thoroughly with it as well. So download this, extract this into a folder that you have. So use I call it the book source code, chapter 6 source code. Once you download, these are the current problems are in the book. So I'm gonna ask you to follow along with me if you're doing this with me right now. So please follow along with in the book with this. So I'm going to start with the PowerPoint slide with this thing, and I'm going to highlight a couple of things that are very important for you to follow along. We just left chapter 5, which is all control structure 2, with this thing, and chapter 6 starts getting into the user-defined functions and with it. So let me start with that. So I'm not going to read these slides to you, but please go through and go through this a lot of the reading. I want to just hit some of the highlight key things. You are responsible for the rest of the chapters with it on the exam with this thing. But here are the things I wanted to start to talk about. There's two groups of, if you think about how the chapter is divided, there's two types of functions right now. First of all, before we get into functions, I want to talk to you about what is a function and how you want to start to learning about functions. There's two groups. One is a function, and the other one's called a class. Now, if you want to think of the book does not talk anything about for what is a class, C-L-A-S-S. If you think about a class as a blueprint, a template, a cookie cutter that generates the object, put that in the back burner for now. And the function is a broken down series of steps that are smaller steps with it. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to use the analogy if you pick up a gun to shoot, for example. All right, you pick up the gun, you take it, you break down the step by load the gun, open up the chamber, put in the bullet for the chamber with it, close it, pull the trigger back. There are steps that's broken down to when you fire the gun. However, in a class, when you create the class, that's like you're creating an object. All right, you're instantiating an object. You're creating the gun with it. All right, so that's the key thing. All right, hold on, somebody's at the door. Sorry, somebody was at my door. So let me talk to you about. We're going to start with functions. And functions is very important how you understand functions. It's the same concept when we actually move to what's called a method. So please excuse me if I start to use these interchanging with it at times with it as well, because it's going to relate with how you write classes and methods and in the future with it as well. I want you to think of functions as two different groups in functions. There's what's user-defined, and there's what's called predefined. Predefined is what we're going to look first. For example, you buy a car. A car will have things that will already comes with the car. All right. So things that, for instance, if you have a car that comes with a power window, it has air conditioning, has the radio, similar to a predefined function. These are the library files that you already have that comes with it. All right. So take a look at some of the things now, giving that some of the preface that I just gave you on that, just a beginning. End of the story with that. Now we're going to get into what's talking like a function and how D.S. Malik defines a function with this thing. So if you think of a function, it allows you to actually, there's simple building blocks. Okay, there's small building blocks with it. So if you think of what's today's function is called as an app, you hear of these things called little things that's called applications, short for apps with it. They reside in an operating system as a mini program with it. Functions are like building blocks. They allow you to complicate programs to be divided into manageable small pieces with it. So this is how you actually take a look at the functions and actually takes place with it. Functions can also be called as modules, that you can hear things as miniature modules or miniature programs with it. Together, they actually build a large program with it. So that's just to give you a bigger picture with it. Here's a predefined math function that you're looking at. All right. So for example, fx, and if you this x right here, you plug in the 2 as an argument, and it does the math, and it comes up to be 7 with it. So this is a little mini function or mini that you can actually write with this thing. So when you look at this thing, predefined functions that actually such as square, power, floor, things such as IO, these are things that comes with your compiler. Yes, these are things that comes with your Microsoft Visual Compiler, such as your IO streams, CMath. These are the header files that comes with it. Predefined functions such as power, XY, all the stuff that comes up to par that comes with this is what you see is very simple, that you plug in a power with a base of 2, exponent is 3 raised to 2 to the 3. If this is a double, you will give this as 8.0 with it. So as you can see, what's just called a parameter. This is what this is saying, right? You have the square root function, which you take the square root of something, right? So very simple math function, something is to the floor. Basically takes it to the floor so with the data type with it, lowers it, or to the ceiling is the other contrary with it as well. So either one of these things, I need for you to know this table. You see this table over here? This is table 6-1. This is in my 6th edition book, and I can tell you what page this is on. And you need to be responsible for this table, because on a multiple choice exam, this is for me is on page 337, 337, and page 338. There will be some multiple choice test question I will ask you. If you're going to use this function, what header file would you use? So there are a few of them I would be familiar with. A lot of them, as you can see, for example, your CS, your standard library file, your math file, your CMath, and there's also the CC type. So there's actually 3 or 4 of them that you need to know. That's all I asked you to know about this course right now. But a lot of times there's more. There's actually hundreds of these library files for you to go into to study the C. Some of them more used often than others with it, but just a tip of the iceberg. I like for you to know table 6-1. So anything in the header files that list here, or I could ask you, here are the header files, what function could I use from it? All right, and if you know the functions, be familiar with the parameter type and the result types with this thing. So please know table 6-1. That's the predefined function with it. The first one I want to talk to you about is the let me stop here for a moment, okay?